Melissa, teacher here at Tranquil Space, coming to you with the asana of the month for December, supta, virasana, or reclined hero pose. This is a really unique pose. It stretches your quadriceps very deeply, which is something that we don't tend to do a lot in yoga. We really do a great job stretching our hamstrings, but the top of the thigh often doesn't get the same love. So this pose is a very deep stretch for the quadriceps. It's also a unique pose in that it opens your heart. It's a little bit of a back bend in the sense that your chest is open, the collarbones are lifted, and yet it's reclined. It's a very sort of quiet pose, something that you would do towards the end of practice. And if you prop it well, you can actually stay here for a really long time. Folks who do restorative yoga may have done variations of this pose in a restorative class where you would hold it for 5 minutes or maybe even more. So it's a unique pose, it's a lovely pose, but it's a pose that has some caveats. So if you have really tight quadriceps, reclining might not feel so great for your body, and that's totally fine. Most people have tight quads. They get tight by just walking, and so we want to walk, we want to move, and the trade-off there is our quadriceps do get tight. So if you feel the quads are tight, doing this pose at the end of practice or doing it after you've done some stretching beforehand will really help. And you also don't have to come fully back in the pose. You can stay upright in it, and I'll show that variation in a second. The other caveat is if you have any sort of knee issue. Because this is such a deep opener for the front of the body and the thighs, your knees can be vulnerable here. It's a great pose for actually strengthening this area, but if you are dealing with an active injury or even a semi-recent injury, you may want to take this really slow and see how it feels in your body. So to come into the pose, and I've got my blanket here because I know I'm going to need a little bit of support underneath my back. When you come into the pose, and in Vajrasana, half hero pose, you're going to sit on your heels. So this is a great option. You can work with a pose here. To come into Virasana, you're going to separate your ankles. You're going to press the calf flash back and maybe even out a little bit if that feels good. And you're going to start to walk your sits bones in between your ankles. Notice here that my feet are pointing straight back. Sometimes they sickle in or sickle out. You really want to make sure your feet are well aligned in this pose because that will help protect your knee. My knees are together. In the traditional variation of this pose, the classic variation, you keep your knees together, which gets harder to do as you start to lean back. And then from here, you can hold right here in Virasana, or if you want to start to lean back, engage your legs, bring your hands behind you, start to lock on your forearms, and you can hold here in sort of a semi-reclined position. From here, you can lower all the way down onto your mat, and you want your upper back here to be in contact with the floor. Notice that my knees kind of popped up right when I leaned back. I really want to work to anchor the knees down. If the knees pop up, that's a sign either that you want a little more propping or you want to come up just a little bit. Also notice that my knees separated just a little bit. It's fine for your knees to stay in line with your hips, but if they come wider than that, you'll want to get some propping or some other support. And again, I want to keep my upper back really nice and relaxed on your mat. I don't like how much of a bend I have here in my lower back, so I'm going to come up and prop this just a little bit. You lift up onto your forearms and use your hands to walk you in. So propping is really going to be important this month. So don't be shy about grabbing blankets, bolsters, or blocks. Don't be shy about asking your teacher or your TA for a little bit of help setting this up. So working with your blanket, you're going to fold it in half. And this might even not be quite enough for me. So I'm also going to use this bolster here and stack it up. Another nice option you have is you can use a block under this, and so you give yourself even more height, right? So there's really no end to the different variations that you can use to give yourself more space. So setting up the pose, you're going to bring your hips right up to the edge of the support and start to lean back. And feels really good. Right? So give yourself some extra support. The pose will feel so much better. It will be so much healthier for you. And so now I have this big curve in my low back, but it's supported and it's not vulnerable. Same action, you would lift up. And so that's a pose I could hold for 5 minutes. It feels great with the extra support. The other option that you have when you come into your pose is you can, and this gets a little bit hardcore, but if you know you're going to be there for a long time, it can be nice. You can strap your thighs. If you know your knees splay out to the side quite far, and you really want to be extra supportive and really work on great form in your shape, you would just work with a buckle. Strap your thighs together, and then lean back into your pose. And the strap will do the work that your muscles would normally do to sort of hold your knees in alignment, and it can be a really nice option. So this pose is a lot of work, but there's a big payoff at the end because it is a wonderful way to stretch the front body, which we don't do quite enough of often. It can be super relaxing if you give yourself the support that you may need. And enjoy. It's the end of the year. The days are short and dark. Take your time to savor this shape and enjoy. Namaste.